Hi, welcome to the Main Stage Cast, a podcast about all things competitive Call of Duty, hosted by me, Nate Burleson, and Alex Friel. Now, it's been about 2 weeks since we were last with you guys, but we got a lot to talk about. It's been weird. I got COVID, so I'm a little choked up a little bit with my throat. Alex is back from the bed, and he got his
I can
cast
walk
off.
now.
He's walking. But
Like Christopher.
there are a few players now who are back to the bench. Back they can't walk around freely anymore as professional players. They're back on the bench. That's right. We're talking about Temp of LA Thieves and Major Maniac of the Minnesota Rokkr. It's a little sad to see them have to go to the bench, but we got two new exciting AMs that are coming into the scene. And we got Stage 2. It kicked off this last weekend. There's a lot going on in COD right now, Alex. How are you feeling about everything that's going on?
It was a different pace coming back into stage 2 and having that first weekend, the Toronto Ultra home series, is definitely a different pace than super weak leading into like the first major. There
Right.
was just so much going on prior, and this feels like a very different vibe. But oh my god, all the roster changes that happened last night. Wasn't really expecting the teams that made changes to be the teams that would make changes first, but they
Mm-hmm.
did. I was expecting Seattle or Florida to make the first move, or London, but then London, they did.
Mm-hmm.
These
And
wasn't
they've made a
expecting.
few already.
Rocker
London
wasn't
have, yeah.
really expecting.
Mm-hmm.
It's been interesting. So I'd say it's a decent time to be a COD fan right now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, certainly like in
You
terms
know
of
what? Hey,
performance.
my only gripe with the start of phase 2 or whatever it is that Optic had one match.
Mm. Yeah, no. Optic only having one match that weekend was a little sad, but I mean now we get two weekends of them having two matches, one of which next weekend they're playing Dallas. So I mean we got a really exciting matches coming up. But yeah, I do want to see. That's the one problem with this group stage is like when you get the teams like broken up in their little groups and they only play 5 times over the course of 3 weeks. It gets a little like annoying because COD is so important. Like repetitions are so important in COD. Like day to day, like one team could be way better than they were the last day, or one team could be way better than they were like the other week. Like it's just like series to series. There's so much changes, and only like playing 5 matches in 3 weeks just does not seem enough. It doesn't seem like enough to have like healthy competition or like for teams to really improve when they're only playing
Yeah,
so
like
many games.
you scrim all week just to
Yeah.
play like your one league match.
They're playing so many like scrims and like not enough like real time like COD. Like they're cutting back on the amount of like total matches they're playing. I don't know. It's a little odd. Like I'm not too warmed up to this whole CDL format yet. I know they probably wanted to try something differently, obviously like with LAN and stuff. But I mean it's hard to really tell right now. I'm hoping that I mean the broadcast last weekend too did not help.
I feel like they should just start giving athletes their vaccines, and extend it to esports. Everybody's
Well, I
getting
think
vaccines now.
they started doing it in the NBA.
Right? The NBA needs vaccines. They're gonna go over. Someone's gonna go to Magic City. You want them to be vulnerable. You don't want them to be vulnerable.
Hmm.
Why not give it to our COD players and the Activision staff? I mean, the CEO did get a $200 million bonus, so maybe he could share some of the love, buy some vaccines.
I agree. No, like I feel like the players like getting vaccines is probably like a little difficult. At least in Illinois, like starting in like just like a week, 2 weeks, like you can get your vaccine no matter who you are. So I mean, like I wouldn't be surprised. I'm interested to see what Texas is doing with that because like I mean, obviously, like most of the pro players live in Texas, and
They're
then
not even
obviously,
gonna take it.
right, and then some live in Canada. So I mean, we'll see what we'll have to deal with so many different like regulations, and like I'm sure it's not something
Yeah,
that the
true.
league is gonna take a stand on or
Regulations
like
are.
make them
Wait,
do.
okay. I forgot to mention that. Could we talk about this though before
Mhm.
we go into more like game-related topics? I think we need to discuss the news that Activision fired 50 of their people that work in Activision. What do they do? Were they esports people, like
It was
esports
all
production
esport.
people?
It was all
Yeah,
esports,
they,
all
they laid
Overwatch
off
League and
50
CDL.
WL and CDL people. Maybe it was because of the next slide thing, man. I just gotta say, Seattle versus Dallas this past weekend, favorite match so far this year, and it was literally 2 FPS.
It was awful. I mean,
it was unbearable
awful.
to
Like,
watch.
I,
Me, Isaac, and Vishma are all sitting in the call getting hyped. Like he's like, Illy's the goat, and I'm like, let's go, Pristini. Like Pristini was making the plays, Sam LaRue was making the plays, but then you'd see him like it's just like it's so goofy, dude.
no, it was
So maybe
bad.
that's why they fired all those people. Shout out chat though. Chat honestly kept it interesting because
Hmm.
they were trying to delete all the messages that were saying like fix the stream, like fix the lag, and everyone just started spamming next slide with like a smiley face.
No,
But
it was
and
bad.
Activision said that they wanted to trend away from like in-person events. So I don't know if they're just being like lazy or the CEO just want more money or like what they think they're doing, but like I feel like they're just trying to destroy kind of their fan base and scene at this
Right.
point.
They don't understand. You can't take LAN away from esports. Taking LAN away from esports, it's like you can't compare it to anything in traditional sports, right? Like I guess it's
No.
like playing. It's like asking players to play in front of no fans, right? For the rest of their
Yeah.
life. Imagine if the NBA was like, we're transitioning away from fans in arenas. We're gonna have all the teams play from their practice courts, and then we're just gonna stream the game on like live on YouTube. Like it's a joke, right? Like you can't
Yeah.
take LAN away from esports. Obviously, they're not going to completely take LAN away from esports, and we don't really know exactly what they want to do. But from what it sounds like, they want to have a lot more priority on online events, and that they want to run a lot of cheaper to run, easier to handle online events, so they can hire less employees, hire less people with big ideas, and just run through the same boring format that they have been running through with the CDL online. Like the broadcasts are exactly the same every time. Every time the stream goes live, you can expect the same thing to happen. You can expect the same music. You can expect the same host talking about the same topics with just like a different like context.
And Lottie's got to get some better shit, bro.
She has to get better what?
Those are my grabs with production. Lottie's got to have better fashion.
Better
We
fashion.
need more Just Brohard. And we need real game fuel.
Yeah, we need some real game fuels on the desk. I want to see Miles just chugging the game fuel, soaking his beard with the game fuel. Just I want to see some real stuff like that. You don't want to see that? You don't want to see Miles just chugging
Miles
some game
LaRosse.
fuel?
Can we just say Miles LaRosse is the best caster this year?
I'd say he is. I'd say probably only because I think Maven and Merc are like kind of bored.
Maven just hasn't brought the energy. Yeah, I don't think they like the game or like the state of anything going on.
Maven feeds off that crowd energy. Like if there was a crowd, Maven is one of the greatest casters in Call of Duty esports because he can just get so hyped.
Dude, him and Courage were like undefeated.
Him and Courage were perfect. Like in that regard. Like they always got
energy.
people hyped up. It's harder. It's hard to get because like when you get hyped about a play like online, it's only your voice that's carrying the weight of the moment, right? Like I like Maven. Like if there's a 2-piece or something like that, it's like oh, but that's it. There's no crowd reaction behind it. There's no sustained like noise. There's no
Miles
sustained
LaRosse
energy.
low key creates that energy though.
He does,
he
but
gets
like
hyped. And I think it's because he's British. Honestly,
British casters are important. We lost 2 British casters over the and we replaced them with 2. Lando and Lando. Where's Lando from? What's Lando's like deal? Do you know like where he's from?
I have no clue, man.
Anyway, I don't know.
He's
but,
not
like,
the race car driver.
But that's
F1
true.
driver, so
it's too bad. Shout out Lando Norris. I picked up an F1
so
fantasy this morning.
Lando, they were doing like different pairings though. They had Merc with like Miles and Lando with like Merc one time. I don't know. There was less Steady in the matches, so it was a little bit better.
Honestly, I think Steady would be great on the desk. Like I honestly think Steady would be good on the desk.
I think the timing of everything is just so weird, right? Like you have this stream that's terrible, and then the next day they lay 50 people off or whatever, and say
well, it was the day before they laid all the people off.
So they laid people off and said we're going away from in-person events, and then had a dog shit online stream.
That game was Saturday, right? Sunday stream.
That was Sunday for sure. That was definitely Sunday.
Surge versus.
Oh, yesterday was Monday.
I thought Surge.
Damn, bro, I am bugging out, bro.
My like concept of time was screwed up. But no. Sunday was fine. Sunday stream was fine. Thieves New York at least was fine. That's what I remember. But like
New York.
That
am I talking about Saturday? I'm talking about Empire Surge.
Yeah, no, but that stream was messed up. But then the stream on Sunday was fine. So like whatever the problem was, they fixed it. But like I think like someone responded to Lottie on like Twitter and was like, "What's going on with the broadcast, Lottie?" And Lottie, who's not a broadcast technician and is someone who just
and said,
stands
"We're
on
trying
camera.
to get it fixed."
Right? She was like, "Shit happens." That's all she said. Like, I'm like, it's true. Like, that's what people don't get. Like, sometimes with like broadcasts, like, shit just happens. There's technical
But
difficulties
this
that
is
no
this
one
is
can
the
figure
first
out.
time
But
we've had an issue of like this caliber though, from this year and last year. And
mm-hmm,
last year when they had to rig it up together so quick.
mm-hmm,
Like we never had any sort of issue like this. Like
yeah,
we didn't have any issues technically, honestly, besides Surge getting players booted out of the game multiple times over the season. That was like the only issue, right?
mm-hmm,
And this year we start and like the first match, like Alex lags out of the game, and like it literally was like the game was just the server was bad, and then like after that it's been pretty good. We've had some laggy moments. Like there was one day everybody thought that Looney was cheating, and then he went in theater and showed what it looked like on his screen, and on his screen he like turns the gun, but then when with like the little like lag and delays they have on the stream, like when we
mm-hmm.
saw it, it was like it was like
Yeah,
that,
it was
you
like a
know,
quick
like
like jump.
it doesn't like, you know, they don't ADS in all the way certain times. And yeah, what is up with YouTube though? And like you're just sitting there and somehow your stream gets behind. Like how does that work?
Because it's just like marginal lag that you don't like, little like latency that you don't really notice. Like, and then it just slowly kind of like over time builds up to like 1, 2, 3 seconds, something like that. I think it has to do with like, it's just not like, or it's also like when you're streaming like the higher quality stuff, like if you're trying to go for like the 4K, I think it messes it up a little bit, and it's just harder for it to, because like I don't know if you can stream 4K like on, if you don't have amazing internet, like I don't think you can stream 4K like at the same like
Yeah, I
time
just do
as you
auto.
can with like,
I don't try to
yeah.
force it. I just
But
want it to be in real time.
But I think it's kind of hard for them to make it like perfectly real time. Like that's just like a struggle with YouTube,
But then
especially.
how is Twitch done that?
I wonder, and like I don't really know anything about like video, like how to like do like live video stuff like that. But like I'm pretty sure like it might have something to do with like YouTube having the rewind feature, so like you can go
True.
back, and like going back isn't
You
a
know,
problem. But on
I
Twitch, like
think
you can't go back; you're going forward the entire time.
that's such a big feature that I think that like that's like because when I can go and look at like the scoreboard, that's sick. Instead of
Hmm.
someone like having to like clip it or like, you know, I have to
Right.
go find it somewhere else. I think that's a really cool ability that we have with our streams. But
Hmm.
yeah, we're champ in the chat for Activision, in my
Hmm.
opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we had some good matches we can look forward to this weekend, but we'll get to those a little bit later. I feel like right now we should talk about the roster changes. And I wanted to start talking about the roster change that was the most recent. I don't know, they both kind of happened like yesterday, but Temp getting dropped from LA Thieves or getting put on the bench in order for Venom to take his spot. Venom, previously of Wester, was picked up by them, I think, about like 10 days ago. He was picked up to be on LA Thieves' bench. Well, they already had Draza sitting on their bench as a sub. They picked up Venom because he was so great. He was one of the, I think he was probably the best player on Wester, even though it's kind of hard to really tell. Like, he might have been the best player on Wester. He played a different role than Paul X, though, so it's kind of hard to tell. But, like, he got picked up, and he's going to be starting in place of Temp. People, do you notice, like, people weren't really pushing back on this one like how they were with Zenny? Because when Zenny got dropped, everyone was, like, freaking out. But with this, nobody was really like, wrong decision, man, love Temp. Nobody was saying that. Not even really Temp's friends. Like,
You know
so do you
what?
think they made
And
the right call?
This is, you know, this is the sad reality of this. Is like at first when I learned that the story that, you know, they were trying to get Priesta, and then that didn't work out because they couldn't announce the team in time, and he wanted to play with Mike. That was a thing. Like that was who they wanted as their fourth, and then that didn't end up working out. So I was like, oh, like Temp's the most obvious answer. Like there's probably good players in the challenger scene.
But still
No, but
unproven.
I was thinking like who is a player like they're like, you know, Classic was an option, Saints was an option, but like Temp was just in the league last year. You know, New York had won a home series. I thought he was a good player. Same in BO4. So, you know, in my head, I was like, that's the obvious choice. You know, Slasher and Temp have teamed before, like they're friends. Like I thought that was all going to be fine, but then I think you just saw it. You know, when they dropped Methods, it was like Methods didn't really play that bad, right? Like Methods played
Right.
just
No, he was
as
playing
good
fine.
as everyone else. But like with Temp, it's like either he played really good, you know, like he'd have those like raid controls where he just dominated those Moscow
Clutch two
hard
pieces,
points, where
clutch three
he
pieces.
yeah,
Yeah.
where he'd take out an M4 and he'd be like really good with it. But then there was those times where like he's definitely the most inconsistent, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like if there's like anyone that's been like ready to go, it's been him. And when I saw that they picked up Venom, I texted our friend Eli, who's a 100 Thieves fan, and I said, Temp's Dunzos. I said he's going straight to the bench, man.
Yeah, it did seem like that. Like even just like when they did announce Venom, like that Temp would be the guy to go because he really is like kind of the odd man out in terms of performances. I mean he could play. He's probably playing well, but like at this point, like where they are right now, like LA Thieves is like they were expecting themselves, and a lot of fans were also expecting for them to be a top 3 team in the CDL or a top 4 team in the CDL. Like without question, like a top 4 team, like right up there with Chicago and Dallas and Atlanta. But they aren't, and they haven't been because they've been inconsistent in that way. Like Slasher's been playing pretty well, like Kenny's been doing pretty well. They went through a few meta changes and they were kind of comfortable with it. But I mean, then they got bounced out of the major like that. They lost in that first round at LAG. Like things were just like not looking good for them, and I don't really think maybe the vibes weren't really there too either. And like if that's not there for these Call of Duty teams, like if the vibes aren't there, like that's the point where everything comes crashing down.
And I think the other guys understand, right? Because they've all gotten like LAN wins before and played for like really big name orgs. Like
right.
Tim's played for like Splice and like then he played, but he's never really played for like an org that like has as high of standards as 100 Thieves. And I think Slasher and Kenny really understand this, and I think TJ's won like 5 lands or something.
TJ has been through the optic like
he was with that, I mean his Rise team in World War II. Like that he played with Slasher there, and I think that those 3 guys like understand that like not winning a championship is like there's either that, like you either win or you don't. Like there's no in between for 100 Thieves, and Nadeshot didn't buy the spot to like not win championships, and I think they understand that and they want that for the fans. Like because if you've ever, I don't know if you've ever watched like the OTA 100 content, but like all of them in all of those videos, like when they got the little like interviews, and it's like all of them have said like I've never wanted to win for a team more than I have this one. I think it's the brand. I think Temp like almost doesn't fit that like what you see as like a championship team. And I mean Venom won like a bunch of Challengers Cups, like has been the best SMG, no doubt. Like there's been no one better than him. He's been waiting for the right opportunity, and I think that if you're gonna take an opportunity to join the COD League, you might as well do it at the 100 Thieves, right? Like,
right. Yeah, no, I mean I think if you look at 100 Thieves too, like I mean some people make the argument that like there are teams that will come into esports and just hire the biggest personalities or like the biggest brands and like be content with like making money while placing top 5, top 6, top 8, like not like continuously going for the championships. But like when you look at the roster that they picked up, that LA Thieves picked up, it's proof that they really wanted to win, and they wanted to win immediately with the roster they had. Slasher's like a proven team builder. He's a proven like leader. That's a great guy to start with, right? TJ Haley, great player as well, a good entry sub coming off of like some pretty great performances last year, and then of course like Kenny's won championships. He's a top player, like everybody knows, and like he had like a bit of a shaky year last year, but like that whole OGLA experiment just did not go very well, right? Like and now this team like looked pretty good at the start of the year on paper. It's just they haven't really been able to be consistent, which is kind of like the problem with a lot of teams, is that they just haven't been able to be consistent. And I think that has something to do with maybe a little bit of the format, like playing only a few matches a month really doesn't give you like a chance to get into a groove, get into like that real groove that we see teams get into by making big losers bracket runs and really figuring out how they work together as a team. Because there's only so much you can tell from scrims, and I think pro players talk about it, like there's a difference in like the kind of the kind of like skill and the kind of speed that comes in when you're playing an official match, and how they really feel about the stakes that are at hand. Like I don't think they're getting enough of that, and I think players are kind of falling to the wayside because of it. I think we're seeing it with like Temp. Like if he can't really get into that groove, can't get into that rhythm, he's not going to be able to succeed, and he's not going to be able to help you out too much. So I mean, honestly, like getting the young, hungry player like Venom, who's been one of the best top 5 players in Challengers all year, it's genius. I think he's going to be a great player for them. I mean, they have a tough schedule coming up, I think, this weekend. In their first match, like they're playing London, so I mean, like that's a good match to really get into your groove. But then they got to play Atlanta, so like, I mean, you can't really expect them to go like 2-0 this weekend. Can't really expect them to like beat Atlanta. But like if they have a good showing against London and they maybe show some life against Atlanta, like how many teams have not in the past, I think they could be. I think this could pay off for them. So I mean, I'm excited for them. I'm excited to see what Venom does.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good move by them. Honestly, I'm not mad at it. As a fan, it does kind of sadden you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's like you're right. Like it's different. Like everyone with Zinni is like, why? But this one, I think it's like, I think you just understand the move a little bit more. You know?
Yeah, and I think people might have thought that, like, Temp, especially when it was coming up, they're like, oh, this kid has an ego. Like this guy has a big ego. That's like that. Temp has just always kind of carried himself with a lot of confidence, I think, and that rubs people off.
He's never. Like, nah, dude, I think
that
he's
rubs
sick
people
for that.
wrong.
Like, the way he's never, like, backed away from, like, talking shit to someone. Like,
that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. But, like, at the same time, it
him
shows
and
that he's
Doug's in
confident.
World War II AIDS calls, bro, when he'd be like, Doug, like, you beat Nate Shot. He's the worst in the game. Like, like, he's literally the only dude that was worse than you. Like, that was the shit he was saying back in the day.
Yeah, but, like, one quick thing before we... Or one quick thing before we go to the next roster change is that like I was like reading about this, like if you go to like the 100T esports account, which is like their official esports updates account, they can't talk about LA Thieves. Did you know? I didn't know that. Like
it's a different IP.
Well, yeah, it has something to do with that apparently. It's like FaZe Clan with Atlanta FaZe, but like Nate Shot apparently has talked about this. Like that just seems like stupid because like it's clear that like.
Activision forces the brands to like. That's why like NRG can't talk about San Francisco Shock, which is just the dumbest thing. Like it's considering how big their team is and how they're just dominant. Like the fact that NRG can't even be like, yo, like we're kicking ass in the Overwatch League.
They can tweet about it. I think they could tweet about it or something like that. I feel like NRG's tweet about it a little bit, or maybe it was just Andy Miller, the CEO, who would tweet about it, and that's how I saw it.
They've only tweeted after they've like won worlds, like after they won the world championship. They're like, look at us, like 2-time world champs.
So, like if you go to like the 100T_esports account, like they say we compete in like Valorant, League of Legends, Fortnite. And whatever, and like Fortnite, right? Like that's all it says in their bio. It does not say Call of Duty.
100 Thieves has good ass Fortnite players though, bro. They have 2 players that run NA West, bro. I ain't even lying.
That run NA West? Why?
And they got like a top 5 EU player.
That's the thing. It's like 100 Thieves is a lot of teams that are like very good. Like I wish they could get back into Counter. I wish they could get back into Counter-Strike in some way. I wish they could. I don't even care. Like they can buy an EU team.
NACS is dying.
They can buy an EU team for all I care. They can buy some Russian kids for all I care. As long as it's like a good team and we get their branding.
Their NALCS team's pretty good. Okay, but final word on that roster move. I think that out of all the roster moves, this is the best one because I don't think there's been a better. Actually, there's been one better player that's been picked up besides Venom, but he's the best SMG that's been picked up so far, in my opinion.
Okay, but let's so we talk about the next one, which is a little bit more of a head scratcher, I think, for most people in the scene. But it is a guy who's really deserving, who gets to come up. It's Standy, who's coming in for Major Maniac and replacing Major Maniac at the Rokkr. Now, the reason this has made a lot of people very confused is that Major Maniac is a pretty good player, and it's not even that Major Maniac hasn't played poorly, because I don't think he's been as good as he could be, but accuracy is keeping his spot as the main AR, and I think that's what's rubbing people the wrong way about this. I don't think accuracy has been amazing this year. I don't think he's been that great. Like, I think that like him and Major Maniac are probably on like the same level of skill. Maybe Major Maniac's a little bit better. But what people say is that accuracy is the apparent leader of the team, apparently the in-game leader of the team, the guy who calls the shots, and apparently that's why they can't get rid of him. But then again, they can't win hard points. So how valuable can an in-game leader be if you can't win a hard point, if you can't even rotate? Like,
true.
So like, I mean, how do you make of this? What's your thoughts of this? What about it works for you?
Bro, my friend called me the other night. He was really drunk and he's like, "Yo, Johnny," and I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "What about it works for you?" And I started dying. I started laughing my ass off because they have no clue what that's from, and they just say it. I think what about this move works for me is that Standy is like outside of like Paul X and like Nato is like the best ARs and challengers. Standy's definitely one of them up there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the youngins just play with a different like Mike's the oldest competitor in the league, so he doesn't play like a youngin. The youngins play
slow.
fast, they play for kills, and I think that that's what's taken so many people to realize about so long to realize about this game is like it's a lot faster paced than we think it is.
It's a lot faster.
Like, it may not seem like it's fast paced, but you have to play fast. Like you have to play aggressive and keep moving. And like I think that's a reason why Seattle's played better because I think Octane has started playing way differently. He at the first time we saw him play, he was like just sitting and just looking down the lane. It's like you can't really do that as much in this game. Like you have to keep moving. And I think that like when you insert a guy like Standy into your roster, you kind of like give it that energy. And I think that's what they've been lacking because like I don't know why, but like Priest and Attach just aren't good like aggro players. Like it's the weirdest thing.
Attach has always been that kind of support player.
I think they need someone to kind of come in and be like, yo, I'm gonna like go kill her, like just play around me. Like Standy's gonna fry. Like let's be honest, Standy's about to fry. So
also like I don't know if people know this, but like he really has not been playing on like the best internet. Like he's not like a warrior. Like he lives in like Pennsylvania and like he doesn't really have that great internet. Like I mean it's good internet.
They say PA is different, bro.
Yeah, these AMs have like most of these top AMs have like good internet. Like honestly, like if you're trying to make it in challengers, you need to have good internet. Like it's no longer like an advantage that people have like in terms of like, oh, like this guy just has good internet, like what am I supposed to do? Like nah, you gotta go and get the best
and
internet.
I'm pretty sure they're getting like most of the players that have joined teams have been getting to where they're playing.
Mm-hmm. But no, yeah, he's actually he flew to Texas, I guess. He's gonna be playing on that fiber. That fiber
See, now,
builds
that's
champions.
Gonna be
So
really interesting because they're playing Optic and Empire, so you're playing like two of the hardest teams. And it's like, I don't think they'll win. I'm pretty sure I just picked for like them to get like 3-0 or some shit.
But it's baptism by fire, right? That's perfect for him. You should be able to. You should want to compete against the best. If you want to be a pro player, you got to be with the one. You got to want to compete against the best. You can't shy away from that. So this is gonna be great for Standy. I'm really looking forward. He's humble. He's a good guy. Like he's gonna fry. He's young, only 19. Like we'll see how he does. I think I'm really excited for it. But like. The one thing that this just kind of confuses me is like, if they were to drop accuracy, how good of a main AR would Major Maniac have been in his place? Would he have been so much better than accuracy that like it makes this move like look stupid, or do you think he would have been like, just like maybe a little bit better? I don't know. Like how
you know
much
what?
better do you
I think the difference between them is like on a rotation, like Mike's just gonna go run and try to get the spawn right away. Like Lamar's gonna like rotate, but like look for some kills, And I think that's what sets them apart. I think that team really just lacks slang, like in the weirdest way, like they do. Like, and I think I don't think Lamar's. I think Lamar's definitely played better than Attach and Priesta, and I don't know if it's just because he has an AR.
Priest has just been slacking. I don't know if he just can't. I don't know if he's just not comfortable in his role, not comfortable like with the game. Not like what is it? What really is like making Priesta struggle so much?
I think he's just been getting shit on so far. I think he's just been getting shit on. Like, I think that having Standy will definitely help because like if you think about it, like think about like a Garrison for example, like where we've seen Priesta and Attach get shit on. Like imagine if they just like had it like Lamar is like the type of guy who goes like top cat. Now they got two guys who are the type of guy to go top cat, and like if they can just start team shotting everyone better, like that's what really makes like Dashi is one of the best players. Like if you look at like when he plays 8s and he gets like the EKIAs and he's dropping like 70, it's like because he's shooting everybody. Like he's getting into those positions where I feel like Mike isn't the same kind of AR. Like he almost plays it more like it's like a World War II than it is like a game where you actually need to like just like forget about that kind of thing and just kill,
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I think there's a healthy balance to, like, just wanting to kill and, like, finding out how to, like, rotate and play as a team. But the way Cold War is, like, it's so fast-paced. Just a few kills will get you knocked off, will get you knocked off a hill for a full 60.
Especially that's some of the hills are, like, just thinking about Garrison and, like, when they've, like, choked a rotation to P2 and just haven't been able to break it because they're like just running in and
Well,
dying and
just getting three piece without getting a trade is not enough. Like once you get, if you could just at least get like a few trades, even if you kind of lose out on the initial position, the way that you like kind of delay people's respawn for just a few more seconds that lets you get up further. You don't let them set up as easily. That's what you have to strive for. It's like what I've been seeing with Minnesota is that they just get blown off of rotations. They never get the comfortable setup. They never hold their comfortable setup. Like they never get those full 60s like how other teams do. And like look at Apocalypse. Like Apocalypse, like if you don't get your good setups, you will get full 60'd on like 4 of the 5 hills. Like just consistently.
True.
Like that, I think like the newer maps, like the gameplay right here, it's just not working for a team that's all like kind of slower players. Like Attach has always been that kind of support guy, right? Like he's never been like not recently at least, he hasn't been like the run around and like get like a crazy amount of kills, like play like like that kind of like simp kind of sub where they just can go absolutely off and get all the plays.
I think he was in World War II, and then the games went to 5v5, and then he was playing with players like Apathy, or he was playing with like a Mac, attempt like guys who are more. He didn't have to play like the I'm gonna go just throw myself in a hell role anymore, because like he also had Zuma. He had a bunch of other SMGs that he's played with in the past 2 years that have kind of shaped the way he's played. And like instead of like how remember when he first came in the scene and like Ghost and AW and BO3, like he was just like a really fast paced sub.
Yeah, who came up with like creative angles to play, who came up with like creative routes, good like plays like that.
He had an
like,
ego, like he was super confident because he was like a little shit 18-year-old.
Yeah,
I think they need that energy, man. They need that young Attach energy. It's way too like YouTube now, like top 5 pro tips that'll make you better at league play.
Yeah, he just needs to like I think like they need to play faster. I think a lot of the critics of Minnesota at the beginning of the year were looking at the roster and they were like, yo, they're gonna be slow as hell. They're not gonna they're gonna be way too slow. And I think those people were right to a certain extent.
I think before like GAs, like obviously with like you'll have like your GAs like obviously like lasers and like all that stupid stuff, like LMGs and whatnot. But like I think before like the AK was GA, I think that they were like going to be a really good team.
Oh yeah.
Because I think they were probably going to run like a Krieg, and like I think Priesta might have even have ran the AK at times. Like I think
Priesta
that they
would have been great on
definitely.
the AK.
Yeah, I think that would have worked like way better for them.
Yeah, they just need aggressive players.
And think about like, dude, I think that the game would just be better if it was just that guns were the way they were at launch, with like the MP5 being the best sub.
Yeah, the Fafar.
I miss the MP5, bro.
I forgot who it was that was
MP5,
watching. I think it might have been
Krieg, bro.
Might have been Haggy who was frying with the Fafar on Twitter. He went on like a 12 streak or something like that. Low key, it kind of rips.
No,
kind of rips,
it's
man.
definitely not gonna rip,
people
bro.
I don't know.
Was he playing Garrison, bro?
No, it was Checkmate. He was ripping with it on Checkmate. He had a 12 streak. I mean,
eights.
Was he on 1 MS?
eights?
Because he was on 1. Was he on 1 MS though? Because Sensor was playing on 1 MS, or he was playing on 5 MS from November 23rd.
No way!
He's playing from early November all the way until now. He's playing on 5 MS. Now he's on 1.
Better watch out for their spots, bro. The next podcast we're gonna make is like Doug is back.
Hey, he was playing on 1 MS. He was playing on 5. Now he's on 1. He could start frying. Who knows? Maybe he'll start playing a little bit better. But like, I mean, honestly, like, do you see like any other team changes happening before the major?
Not before the major. Now, I don't think you do it like week 2. I think if you do it, it's after week 1. If you haven't done it prior to week 2, I just don't think that you have like enough time to give your team like a healthy amount of practice.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I could see like a few more team changes happening this year. Players getting picked up from challengers. I definitely think it'll happen. I just think right now this is probably all we're gonna see before the major.
Hey, but do Temp and Heggy win the next challengers event?
I don't know. I think they might. I feel like it'd be fun to watch. So what? It's Wester is now like what? Who's even on that team? Glow Frosty? Is he one of them?
Hamza, Glow Frosty, Temp, Hagathan, and Zaptius.
Okay.
Bro, Zaptius and Heggy were nasty before he hit up his girl, bro.
They were that. Who was on that like Ghost team at one point last year? It was like, or not Ghost. I'm sorry, MW. But I think it was like Haggy, like Zap, Fire, and Goonjar. They were on. I think they might have been on a team at one point. I know Goon, Fire, and Aggie were on a team together for a little bit.
Bro, that's how Goon was trying to get into Paris through Fire and Theory.
Chill, bro. I mean, hey, Goon could have been on the squad. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying he would have
Bro,
fried.
Goon is terrible.
He would have been frying.
Oh, come on, dude.
Come on. You just gotta let him step up. They call him Ping Jar for a reason. Online league, I'd take Goonjar. Call him Ping Jar for a reason. But anyways, I mean, we can start looking forward to these matches this week. I know we both made our pick'ems already. I locked mine in. So what I'm reading to you is my pick'ems. But yeah, let's you know how we do this. Let's just start off with the first match of the week on March 25th, Thursday. Dallas Empire versus Paris Legion. It's the first match. I think we might have the same thing here, but I got Dallas in a 3-0.
3-0, baby. Yeah, I don't really think much of this.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's gonna be a 3-0.
Right, and I mean, Paris has been good, right? Like Paris isn't horrible.
Yeah, they've definitely
slouches.
been good, but they're not better than Empire.
No, I mean Paris are gonna.
Wouldn't be surprised if they take 1 or 2 maps and it goes game 5, but like I just don't think they're winning.
Yeah, Paris is real.
Daddy Krim will get too mad, bro.
Mm-hmm.
He's not playing around.
Yeah, I hope Illy keeps frying. I hope like maybe he needs to. I'm gonna be honest, like he's gonna have to put up some like game where he goes like he just goes off. Like he's gonna have to have some S&D where he goes like 13 and like 4, just so all these Twitter finger kids can stop saying like, oh, you know, Illy's okay. He's been a little disappointing. Like I don't want to hear that. You know, Illy's a good ass player. Like, and he'll be up there helping the team out. Like everyone on Dallas is just so much fun to watch. I think. Like I don't know. I have a lot of fun watching Dallas whenever they start frying, just because like Hook is such a dynamic player, and he's like kind of that. He always plays these like interesting like rat spots, all these credit corners, things like that. That like kind of throw teams off, and like I bet he's annoying to play against. I love watching players like that who just look like they're annoying to play against. Like against Optic on that Checkman S&D, he was just like laying in all these different spots, just shooting people in the back. I love that kind of stuff. Like I think Dallas is really entertaining, but I mean I just see this being a 3-0. I think they'll come out hot. So the next match.
Yeah, next match 3-0.
Yeah, so the next match, Optic versus New Look Minnesota. I mean, don't chow Dashy.
Even if Standy plays good,
see, like,
I just don't think they play better than Optic overall.
I mean,
like,
this is because what? Like, I assume Standy's probably like this is probably their first full day of like real good practice with Standy. Probably today, Tuesday. You can't prepare for Optic in just a few days. Like this will probably be. I'm going for like a 3-1. I think they might show up in S&D. Maybe just come up. Get a quick win. Mainly, I just wanted to have something a little different than a 3-0. But yeah, I think Optic's gonna win this handily. Optic's just not gonna get. They're not tested by any team that doesn't have the slaying power of like a Dallas or like an Atlanta or even like a Thieves or New York. Like they're just not tested by these teams that can't slay. Like if the team's not winning their like 1v1 like straight up like equal gunfights against Optic, they're not gonna win, and like Optic's just gonna kind of be bored with it. And I think
they just added
Minnesota.
A Krig to the store that has a cryo dismemberment tracer pack.
A what? Like frozen bullets?
No, they're like frozen bullets that like explode you. Like cryo dismemberment.
All I know is
I just had to go look at.
All I know is if I'm seeing that in league play, I'm hitting out the boot switch. That's all I know. If I see that in league play. All right, now the next day, Friday, March 26th, we got the LA Thieves versus the London Royal Ravens. The new look LA Thieves versus the London Royal Ravens. I think I might push this. I'm pushing this into a game 5, and I'm taking LA. I'm taking the new look Thieves in a 3-2. Well, how do you feel about this series?
Let's see what I have. I have 3-2 Pollux W Ravens. I think that the Pollux W Ravens are fire, and I think that like Pollux is better than Venom, and they were teammates, so therefore Pollux is gonna win, and London's gonna get stuck. London will be the best team of Phase 2, bro.
You think so?
Yeah.
Best team of Phase 2? Okay. I would like to see London bounce back.
This man Zed has learned everything from Denz. He is in good hands, all right?
Hey, get Denz a coaching spot. Fire Brian Singh. Give Denz a coaching spot. Let's do it.
Whoa.
I'm kidding. No hate to Brian Singh. When he busts out that stool for a video, oh, you know someone's getting dropped. You know someone's getting put on the pine. I would not want to be seeing that if I was a member of Minnesota right now. But I honestly think Thieves are gonna show up and win. I think they're gonna look pretty comfortable. I wonder if they've been scrimming with Venom at all before this. Do you think they have? Do you think it's possible that they were scrimming with him before and like without temp?
I
Like,
mean, they just played. I think they've been waiting. I think they probably played this week out to
hmm
see if they wanted to like go through, because they could just have him on contract like they do with Draza, but then like he plays on like a different challengers team. And
right.
I think that they were like, they wanted to see like can Temp still hang, and then Temp choked on the last two maps of their last series, and they
hmm
lost to New York. So
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that like they wouldn't make such like they wouldn't be super reactionary and just be like, okay, you have one more series, you have
I
one
mean,
more
they've
weekend to
definitely been
prove
thinking
it,
about it.
right? Like they wouldn't be like you have one more weekend to prove it. Like if you
Even
don't win,
Venom,
like
it's a good opportunity to like try someone
hmm
that has been really good at this game. So
right, like arguably like the best player in challengers, maybe second best, third best, like who was on a team that was super dominant when they were all together and not like
yeah,
worrying about like being plucked by the league. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go with Thieves. I think they pulled this out. But the next match should be the New York Subliners versus LAG. LAG not very promising last weekend, but I
3-0
mean
baby.
they're gonna have to bounce back. You got the 3-0 for Subliners, I presume.
I
Yeah.
got 3-0 subliners.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really see LEG having a chance, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think LAG will probably take like a map off them or something like that. But I mean, from what I saw last weekend, like LAG just looked lagging behind. Like whenever Apathy isn't playing well, there's not much to write home about this team. Like
Yeah,
Apathy
I
shouldn't.
think because he just leads the way for them. Like
Right.
they kind of just follow, and it's based off of like how well he can slay
Mm-hmm.
into a point, and then
I
Silly can move
right.
in with
And
him.
like
And
I do think Vivid is like the best player
Vivid's a
on the
really good player.
team.
I'm pretty sure he's leading in like 10 kills per minute in hardpoint.
Yeah, something like that. Here,
Like I thought he was gonna be like one of the better.
hmm
I mean, I think if I go to stats, where is he in S&D?
In fact, I have the hard point kills per 10 minutes right here. Yeah, it's Vivid, and he actually leads by a full kill over Hook.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
I mean, yeah, and like I mean, it shows you like all you need to know about this stat. Where like the reason why I think Simp is like at 23.4 and like Vivid's at like 26.3. Like we know Simp is the best hardpoint player, right? We know he's the best slayer. I think
He's
he's the best.
still not getting more kills than
But he's
Vivid
not
is every
getting
10
kills.
minutes.
But he's not getting those kills per 10 minutes that Vivid is, right? Like Vivid is
Like, Vivid's got this
right.
.94 overall KD, but it doesn't matter because he's pushing the hills, he's
hmm
playing aggressive, but he's getting those kills, like he's getting trades.
hmm No, I mean, yeah, Vivid's a great player. I think he's a little overlooked because he's not like a household name. Like he's playing on a team with like world champions, and he's just gonna have to kind of earn his name over time. But like, I think Vivid's amazing. Like, I think he's gonna surprise a lot of people if he gets a shot on like a really good roster. If he gets a shot
Dude,
on
I
like a
think
top three,
LAG's
top
gonna
four
try to
team.
build around him. Honestly, like that's kind of
That'd
the
be
way
smart.
it seemed. The way they didn't drop
hmm
him.
No, I think that'd be smart. Like picking up and building around Vivid would be great. Like I just don't think they currently have the firepower that they need. I don't think they win this. I think New York has a lot to prove. I think New York feels like they have a lot to prove. They're a very clutch team. Clayster's very good at this game. Like he's genuinely like great at this game. It has nothing to do with like
Yeah.
getting carried by the twins or getting carried by XEO. Like he is literally just great at this game and he's cracked. But like he had like a 99 overall on Lion Man's cards. We're the Lion Man. But yeah, I think Subliners win that because then they play again the next day and literally the next match, and they're playing against London. So what do you see? How do you see this going? Because you're really high on London right now.
3-1 NYSL. ASIM is gonna go off. Mac needs to step it up. Zed needs to step it up. I'm the CDL specialist. Don't question me.
You're the CDL specialist. You got this. Okay.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
unlocked, bro.
I'm going with the Subliners on a 3-1 as well. I think I think New York has I think they just have a lot of firepower, a lot of skill. Like Asim's very like interesting because he'll like play one map where he's like out he's out going crazy with slaying, and then the next map he'll be totally content with being the entry guy who gets traded for his team and gets baited a little bit by his team. He doesn't mind that. He doesn't care about being the first guy on the point and the first guy to drop. Like, he just plays good team COD. He just wants to win, and I think that's why like New York is gonna carry themselves to a further place, because Clayster teams are always like better than the sum of their parts, right? Like, they'll always have like great players combined. Like, I think the players are great individually, but like Clay brings them together and makes them much better than what they could be just on their own. So I'm looking forward to Subliners maybe making another top 3 run, because if they make another top 3 run, it's no longer like kind of like Cinderella thing. Like, at that point, it's just like they are a top 3 team in this league. So I hope they can establish that.
I think something, when I think about Clayster as a player, like Clayster, like he's not a group stage player. Like, he's a tournament player.
Right.
Like, he's there to show up and be there on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just always the way he's been. Like, regardless of who he's teamed with, like that's just his goal, is like playing championship Sunday and winning. And I think that inspires his teammates. So.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think London is better than them. I think Paul X will probably play the best for London, but he also has to then play against Diamond Con and Clay. So.
Mm-hmm. Who are tough outs, and
yeah.
So the next match we're going to talk about is I'm looking forward to this match more than anything else of the weekend, but Atlanta versus LA.
3-0 Atlanta, man. Come
3-0
on.
Atlanta.
Don't play with
so
them,
like
bro.
it's like who do you think, or like how can Atlanta lose? Like, what's the recipe for Atlanta to lose? Like, scan and repair every map? Is that the only way they can lose, or how do you think they could?
Dude, they need to actually play Optic, bro. They're scared.
Actually play Optic? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, bro. The Optic wasn't playing good S&D last time. They're just scared.
That's fair. Like, I think Optic is a much better team now than they were then, but like, could FaZe also just be a lot better than they were then? Like, I mean, we need to see that match though. I agree. Like, we can't really say that like FaZe are unbeatable until they play Optic in the tournament, or until that matchup happens. I don't think we can say like that one team that like Atlanta's like way ahead of everybody. Could they have like a San Francisco Shock-esque run of like not losing for like 20 straight matches? I think they could.
Dude, honestly, I definitely could see it, because it's like I've said this before. Like, the reason we don't talk about them the most is because they're not like losing all the time or like having drama.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're just like a silent winning team, So like, there's not much to say about them, but like they clearly are like the best team by far, and they don't look like they're gonna slow down even with the new meta. So.
Mm-hmm. Just the difference of having like Arcities with them instead of like I mean, no offense to like Major Maniac and Presto, but like to put that like kind of core players, Celium, Abizi, and Simp, to put that like those 3 players together with a guy like Arcities is just like genius. It's just genius team building. Like, Arcities is a great leader, but he's also cracked. Like, he's also like he also has insane gun skill, great positioning, great centering. Like, he doesn't miss a lot of shots. He wins the gunfights he should. He's a consistent like good player, and he also just brings that like kind of like vocal energy to the team that they were lacking last year when they were getting beat by Dallas. Like, he can compete with like the minds of like Clay and the minds of Krim and like their shot calling and things like that. Like, to have him to be able to do that is absolutely massive for them, and I think that like it made like, honestly, I think we kind of like rated FaZe around the same tier as like Optic and Dallas at the beginning of the game, because we just kind of like didn't.
But then it's funny because after seeing them play, you see like how much better they are, though.
Right, like we didn't understand that like we took like the best core 3 players that you could have right now, probably like the 3 best players that you could probably like ask for right now.
4 of like top S tier players, in my opinion.
Yeah, like you could make a case that like you could say like Simp's the best player like overall. You could definitely say that, like make that case. You can also make a case that Beasley's like the best player overall.
Yeah.
Like Simp is honestly like the most dominant S&D player I've seen in the past like 5 years.
Yeah, no, 100%.
5-6 years.
And
like,
it's funny because he plays with a BZ, who they're like both the best S&D players, right?
Like Simp, like honestly, like if he keeps this up for like the rest of the game, I'd be willing to be like, yeah, Simp is the best like professional, like in the pro scene S&D player of all time. With how he has not gone negative yet.
Dominant games and S&D, like
he hasn't gone negative yet. Like in an S&D, he has not gone negative. Is that not insane? Every other player on his team's gone negative at least once. Like, he's not gone negative once.
Yeah, I'm
because
pretty
he's
sure he
so
leads in like
consistent.
kills per round at like
It,
nearly 1.
it doesn't make any sense. Like, he's just insane. But like, I think FaZe will be fine. Like, I think they come away with a 3-0. I think it might be entertaining. Like, it might be a little close on the hard point and maybe on the S&D, but yeah, FaZe 3-0. I got that. So
Yeah, I don't know that Thieves can do much. I don't know that anyone, honestly. It's like when I see FaZe, I'm just like, 3-0. Like,
yeah, we
where
need a,
where is their weak point? Like, they literally have no weakness.
they have no weak point. You have to catch them on. I think you're gonna have to catch them on an off day. Like if you're Optic or Dallas, like you're gonna have to
And the
catch
thing
them
is,
on an off day.
I feel like catching a team off guard is easier when there's like an event, and it's like there's gonna be more variables involved. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's gonna be someone who like wakes up late or like, but when they're just getting online to play COD, like, dude, come on, it's literally nothing to them.
No,
Like,
I'm
the
a big.
competition is probably pathetic.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably
So
not even satisfied.
so how do you feel about the next match on that day? Toronto versus LAG.
I think LA
Toronto's
is gonna win 3-2. I think Insight's gonna repeat his good S&D performances, and it's not gonna pay off. And my only reasoning behind that is no Zinni, no Winnie.
Okay, I mean I'll accept that, but like Toronto, I got Toronto in the 3-2 only because I think Bance is gonna have to. I think Bance might make a marginal improvement coming into this weekend. I think he's kind of understands that he's on the chopping block a bit. Like if he doesn't really pick it up, he doesn't start playing a little bit better, it's gonna cost his team wins more than
Yeah.
anything. I don't think he is as concerned about his spot on the team. I think he's probably pretty confident that he's gonna stay on this team with the players he's friends with and the coaching staff. But like,
Sure, it is a friendly.
right, but like he is going to have to like step up if they want to win. So I think he will do that. I think I'm gonna take him 3-2 over LAG. All right, so let's go really quick through Sunday. Paris versus Seattle. What's your score line?
3-2 Paris over or Seattle over Paris. I think Seattle's better than them right now from what we've seen. Seattle definitely should have beat Dallas, but Sam LaRue started defusing with 7.3 seconds. So
Just a tad late. Just so close on that. Like you can't get
yeah,
much closer.
I think if you can get to Game 5, Round 11 against Dallas like that, then like you can definitely beat a team the likes of Paris. Like, come on.
I mean, we'll see because Paris will get their shot against Dallas before they play Seattle. But I got Paris in a 3-2 only because I think it'll come down to just some weird rounds on an S&D. But I can see this going either way. Empire versus Rokkr round 2. I see this going
Empire
out.
versus Rokkr. I got 3-0.
Yeah,
I
me
don't.
too.
Sorry, Rokkr. I'm excited for your roster change, but I don't think you're winning them.
No, I don't think so either. I got Dallas in 3-0. And then Optic versus Florida to end the week. I got Optic in a 3-0.
Yeah, I got Optic 3-0. I mean, there's not much to think
Statement.
there.
Statement
Florida, it seems like they'd be the next team to make a change, but like, I just feel like they're never gonna drop slack.
No, I don't see them dropping slack. And like, who would they pick up? Like would they pick up like? Wait, because like what? Who's like on their bench right now?
I think just Havoc, but
Yeah.
Havoc's definitely not better than Slack.
Yeah, no, I got Optic. I think the 3-0 will be a statement, especially if they can go 6-0 on map count this weekend. That'd be a huge statement for Optic. So I mean, yeah, I think we got a good weekend of COD coming up. I feel like they load all the great matches on the last weekend.
Yeah,
Like they're
so it wasn't like first week.
right. Like they're waiting for they're waiting for that weekend to have like Dallas versus Chicago and like. I mean, they're giving us Atlanta versus LA Thieves this weekend, so I mean, we can be grateful. But yeah, I mean, good week of COD. So I guess we can get into our final topic, the big question of the day.
The
Is
answer is yes.
the answer is yes, but we will play devil's advocate, right? Is the Call of Duty League a friend league? And I
Yes.
say this as in. Do the players care more about losing with their friends than winning with people they might not like? Do you think that people...
Yes.
So, sorry. There are a few angles that I want to tackle here. The first one being, do players need to play with people they like in order to win championships? Like, should you want to play with your
No,
friends
you just
because you
gotta
think you
play
can
with
win
people
with
that
them?
are good. Dude, I mean, remember when Nameless was like, everyone on ND was mad at Formal because he wanted to team with Krim, and then they like still could have won the event, but they didn't like each other and didn't want to, even though they all admit that they could have. Like, and I think that was in Ghost. It was like ESWC or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you definitely don't. And I think that the evidence that it like is a friend league is like, dude, just like look at some of the teams, and then it's like finally we're seeing new players, and I felt like it was going to be like a domino effect. Like when one new player came in, we were going to get a bunch at the same time
Right.
because it just was like, you needed like you need to do something if you're a team that's losing, and it's like you can't just keep picking your friends. It's like be like if someone picked Goon.
Yeah, and I mean, we like Goonjar as a person. It's just like Goonjar hasn't been like a top tier pro in the years.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been like since like AW like BO3 like when he was like a pretty like good top or like upper tier pro, and like you can't make an argument that he would like deserve a spot in the current day league when you have players like Zaptia, Sib, Venom, like Paulex, like all these guys who are waiting on the bench, waiting for their chance back then. Like even guys like Fire, who Goonjar teamed with, right? Like Fire was someone who everyone was like, oh, I don't know, like who is this guy? Like should he be in the pro? Like, and he's proven that he belongs in the pro league. Like I think
True.
that we are going to see a lot of AMs, especially if the league expands. We're going to have some people who come in and hopefully will point out the AMs that have been absolutely like tearing it up and say we want these people on our team over the guys who were good 4 years ago. Like the guys who were good 5 years ago. We don't, even if they have a bigger name, they're not going to help us win a championship. Like I think that they need to look to these younger guys.
It's tough. It's tough with it being a business and it being a franchise league.
Right.
But like at some point, teams are just gonna have to keep making moves that are necessary for them to win.
Oh yeah. Like teams are gonna have to pick up these AMs because these AMs are ready to play. They play a kind of fresh, unique style of COD. Like they don't, they don't care about some of like they don't care about the gentleman's rules. I'm not even talking about snaking. I'm not even talking about snaking. Snaking is its own other thing.
They would use lasers if they could.
Yeah, like it's more like they just play with like a disrespectful style, like I'm better than you and I know it, which I feel like some pros have lost over the years with the CDL and with the franchising and playing the same people. Because when you play the same people in every 8's lobby, like the same 15, 20 people, and just rotate through it, you kind of like start to understand how everyone plays. It all kind of makes sense. It all fit. Like anyone can kind of glue together and play together, right? But like when you bring in these new AMs that are fresh and have been like waiting for their chance and they're so hungry and they're ready to prove it, I think that they prove that they can be better than the pros that are currently in the league, who we just assume are better because they're in the league.
Yeah, I agree. Well, at this point, I don't even feel like we assume that though, because like.
Well, I mean, there are some people, a lot
Venom,
of people
like, if you ask me who's better, Venom or Temp, I'd be like Venom, but we just haven't seen him play against pros yet. Like,
right, but there are a lot.
Paul X is better than Lamar, better than like probably most of the main ARs in the league, but we just never got a chance to see him play yet. Like they're gonna start taking these chances once these players start making a difference. Like which we've already, like London just got their first win with Paul X. Like we've already seen it a little bit.
Right.
Like I think it's gonna keep, and I think I predicted Thieves to lose, but who knows, bro?
Who knows? Like anything could change in COD, especially when you plug in a new player. 25% of your roster is different. You come out with a different kind of style. You start playing maps differently. I'm looking forward to this weekend. But like the idea of like the CDL being a friend league is like interesting to me because like it happens in just about like any like esport, but it's way more normal in COD because like the organizations have always had less of a foothold or like a stronghold on the players in terms of teaming with each other than a lot of other esports. Like, who's making the decisions to drop players? It's the players on the team and maybe the general manager and the coach who are ex-players. You know what I mean? They're the ones who are making the decisions on who gets dropped, who gets picked up, and things like that. So, like, when accuracy gets to stay on the team, you wonder why. Because when you watch the game, you know, and just from your eye test, you know that Major Maniac and accuracy aren't that different in skill level, or maybe Major Maniac's a little bit better, right? And you know accuracy plays a little slow, and you know he plays a little bit outdated. but they're willing to keep him on the team over Major Maniac. Why? Because they like him better as a person, and he's the guy who apparently makes the leadership decisions there, which is interesting. But I guess it's all about like who you're friends with. Like pros have complained about this for a while, and like I think Haggy talked about it. Like he was saying that like he feels like he hasn't gotten the opportunities because he hasn't been able to make friendships with people, because he burns bridges, and like he hasn't had the opportunities. Like if you were to burn bridges with like any of the Optic guys, like if you were to ever like cross Scump, right, like he's not gonna have you on Optic ever.
Your career's doomed, bro.
Right, he's not gonna have you on Optic. And like I think like some players can rise above this, right? Krim, Clay, they can rise above this because they're top 5 players of all time. You know, they can rise above like the criticism of their egos, because what they're telling you is gold. What these players are telling you is gold. Like Krim and Clay, Scump, what they have to say to any player is gold, because they are the best. They have been doing this for the longest time. But I feel like when you look at like some of the top AMs, like they're like, you know, give me my shot. You know, give me my shot. Like the only reason you're keeping this guy in here is because he was, you know, he drove you to your first local LAN event 5 years ago, 6 years ago. That's the only reason you're keeping him on my team. To give me a shot, let me play. I've been frying this dumbass AM scene for so long. You know, like dealing with the AM scene and then going to be a pro has to be one of the best feelings, because you start to get paid. You know, like Fire had a tweet the other day where he was he like brought up a tweet from like 2019, right? And it said like my mom deadass had me on a 3-way call with the Marines. Like, yo, I gotta go pro. Like that's the thing. I was like, when these players are in challenges, they are on the fringe.
Yeah,
every week to week, they're wondering like, can I still do this in 6 months? Can I still be doing? They don't. Pros have that kind of like that time, you know, they can get complacent because that paycheck's gonna hit for the next year. They're gonna make their money for the next year. These AMs are hungry. They're ready to prove themselves. So
they're trying to get the bag, bro.
So like I think we're gonna see like a slow changing of the guard in the CDL over the next year. I mean, I hope we do, just for the new faces. I hope the CD. One more thing before we close. I was thinking about this. The CDL does not hype its personal players up enough. You know, it's let's meet the Toronto Ultra. I want to see like a video detailing like, you know, who is.
Nice, bro. It's just like a bunch of like.
Well, like yeah, like the players are just like posing and like doing their little thing. I want them to like hype up.
Nice, dude. Like,
right,
like
right.
The only cool ones are when they do Minnesota and FaZe, because they'll be like, let's meet your Atlanta FaZe. And it's like, Simp, Abeezy, Celium, and don't forget our cities.
Yeah.
And it's like, Frank Woods from Black Ops 1.
That stuff's
that's
cool.
lit.
Well, that stuff's cool, but what I'm saying is like we need.
And then the Minnesota intro where it's like the anime and shit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, we need like players, bro. We need the players. We don't know anything about them.
They were doing this a little bit last year with like the behind the controller thing. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. That was pretty cool. We learned a lot about like a lot of players. Like I think Priesta had like a really cool segment that he did around Champs time. Like I want to see interviews. I want to get to know the players. I want to like. I think we know who Scump is, right? Like we've seen his videos. He's been personalized. The league needs to like show us like, you know, they need to like interview like, you know, they need to interview guys like some of the new guys, right? Like they need to do something like that. They need to drive up the players matches, because like what if like the CDL, like let's just look at a match like next weekend, like you know, LA like or Dallas versus Chicago. Why not hype it up as like, you know, like why not take this opportunity to like do something about the Optic Dynasty and do something about Scump and Krem and do something about Scump Formal and Krem? Why not take the opportunity to do that? But instead, it'll probably just be like, let's meet the Dallas Empire. Let's meet the Optic Chicago. Like, and then they'll play the match. You know, they'll play the music. They'll do the one interview with the pro where the pro says, I'm really proud of the way my team played today. You know, we played really well. We've been putting in the work. You know, I'm really excited to move forward. Thanks, Lottie. Like, no, like, there's got to be more. There's got to be this hype.
More just bro hard, bro.
Hey, Alex, fist bump. Fist bump.
I don't know. So.
But, like, we need them to hype up the players more. I think that's what the broadcast is lacking. Like, they need to, like, they need to hype up the players. We need to understand the people behind it, because when you watch the NFL, I mean, it almost gets like over the top. Like with the Super Bowl this year, Brady versus Mahomes. Like, it's obviously way more than Brady versus Mahomes.
Dude, we used to have that though, but now they view it as like bad.
Right, but like if it was like, but now you can look at it and like Brady and Mahomes make big impacts on their teams, right? But they still are not on the field for half the game because there's two sides to the ball. In COD, the player is there the entire time. It's 4v4. It's like close. It's close to like a one-on-one mano-a-mano thing that you can get. So when it's 4v4, I feel like they need to hype the player matchups more. They need to hype the main AR matchups more.
I agree. Like Zinni versus Formal. Like, how could you not?
Right. Like, Formal and Krim, like two great AR players who
Used
shared
to be
so many memories.
They hate each other.
Dude, they never show old footage. They never show. They can only ever show old CDL footage.
Because they don't want to.
Right. They need people in the league who work they need to give people free reign of like the content, who love the scene, understand its history, and know why COD is good. Why COD esports can be entertaining. Because from the outside looking in, it looks just kind of like a corporate, like boring, like copy paste broadcast that the personalities can't lift above because they have these like kind of predetermined topics that they need to like hit on. Like all the people on the broadcast, I think, on camera are very talented. Like they're just not being able to do the things that could make their talents like entertaining. So, I mean, it's just a closing note on the broadcast, but I mean, overall, like, we got some good matches to look forward to this weekend. I mean, this is probably closing time for the podcast, but like, I mean, we got some good matches to look forward to, some good COD. We're hoping to get some more content up for you guys soon. Some social medias, things like that. Then we'll keep it all going. Main stage cast forever, baby.